All right, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner talking Giants. Giants lose 13-27 to the Seahawks over on the West Coast. Fall to 6-2 heading into the bye week. Good place for the Giants to be the bye week, but obviously this loss sucks. Any loss sucks. I don't care if you're 2-6 or 6-2. Every loss sucks. And honestly, I think the Seahawks just outplayed the Giants and had better players in key spots. And then you have Richie James fumbling the ball, adding 10 points to the board. You know, I don't. There's not much you're not gonna win those type of games. In the second half, the defense just lost to their playmakers, and the offense was just bad. Overall in the whole game. I mean, the Giants had 13 points on offense. 7 of those came from a fumble at the 4-yard line by Tyler Lockett. Offensively, Seahawks had answers for everything. Just everything the Giants offense likes to do with the bootlegs, the read option, and even some of their basic third and short concepts. They had everything, whether it was they running like a mesh concept that if you watch the film reviews we go through, which they love to do, had answers for that. The bootlegs did nothing. Read option was never there. That paired with Saquon going 20 carries for 56 yards, 2.7 yards per carry. Daniel Jones only had 6 carries for 20 yards. Like, they were able to bottle up the running game. The offense just wasn't able to do anything. And again, 13 points. 7 of those came off of a fumble by Tyler Lockett at the 4-yard line. I thought the running game was hampered by missing Daniel Bellinger. Like, I think, one, Daniel Bellinger is just valuable because he is the best blocking receiving, the blocking receiving combo tight end on the Giants roster. Chris Myrick is essentially solely a blocker, even though he can run a route. And then Tanner Hudson and Lawrence Cager are simply only receiving tight ends. So not only does it hurt not to have Daniel Bellinger out there because he's your best tight end, I think by quite a bit, but then you can't really run good 2 tight end sets with where you can block and then have a receiving threat. Like, they're forcing Nick Gates out there, which, by the way, Nick Gates did look really good blocking. That's the number one positive coming away from this game is Nick Gates looked good. So you had to either go into the jumbo O-line formations or just have bad blocking tight ends out there, Tanner Hudson and Lawrence Cager. Chris Myrick even missed a block on a wham block. But Lawrence Cager and Tanner Hudson are just not going to be good blockers out there for the Giants. Passing game. It's tougher to decipher exactly what happened just because broadcast doesn't show what's happening down the field all the time. But again, they were just on top of all the boots and their play action. Like, their linebackers played with good depth, and they just were able to shut down a lot of those crossing routes. As far as Daniel Jones, he missed Lawrence Cager on that little wheel route. That was huge. And 77 of his 176 passing yards came on third down. And they were just never able to get anything going outside of throwing the ball to Darius Slayton on third and longs, when they ran some straight dropbacks. So I know there'll be like, hey, the play calling. I'm sure there's things they could have done better. Absolutely. But I just thought the Seahawks really game plan what the Giants do really well, and the Giants have been throwing a lot of stuff out there. But the Seahawks just kind of had an answer for everything they were doing, and then we're putting the Giants in third down situations, and they just weren't able to convert enough. Missing Evan Neal. I know Evan Neal wasn't a world beater, but Tyree Phillips got beat a few times and really bad on a third down sack. That makes a difference. Defensively, I think they just really got beaten man-to-man. Like, Adoree lost to Tyler Lockett on that touchdown, and then the touchdown drop. Those are, the drop is obviously huge for the Giants, but, that touchdown felt kind of like game. Fabian Moreau gave up some catches to DK Metcalf, and then Kenneth Walker pops a touchdown run by breaking a tackle from Xavier McKinney. Like, I think their guys just beat our guys in key situations, and Giants played a little more off coverage, and the Seahawks were just able to get yak every time. Like, Marquise Goodwin had a couple of plays like that where they just threw him a little bubble. He was able to get 10, 15 yards off of it. And then they threw those bootleg misdirections, and they just had guys open in the flats. And those usually came on big plays. So, just sloppy game all around, offense, defense. Some things I noticed, Nick McLeod was at nickel corner. Interesting. Micah McFadden, I thought if there's one key thing to take away from the defense, Micah McFadden, he went out there. They moved Jalen Smith to the Mike linebacker, and they gave Micah McFadden the will linebacker reps a lot of the times today. I thought he played a good game. Like, he went out there over Tate Crowder for the majority of the game, had a sack, a tackle for a loss, 4 tackles. He also made some really underrated coverage plays. Like, there was one where he played the guy underneath and then floated back and took over like a little stick and nod route that Geno Smith was absolutely going to. Geno Smith ends up scrambling and getting 5 yards out of it, but it would have been like a 15, 20-yard chunk play. I think if it's any other linebacker on the Giants roster, whether Jalen Smith, Tay Crowder, or Austin Kalicha, whoever. So I thought he made some underrated plays like that. Weren't really able to gain a pass rush in the second half. Like Leonard Williams was dominating in the first half. Dexter Lawrence had some good plays, but just weren't able to get that. And then again, Richie James put points on the board for the Seahawks. The Giants' margin for error is slim. The Seahawks are a better team than have been given credit for. And Richie James put 10 points on the board. Their Giants are about to get the ball back at the end of the half with, 3-4 minutes left. He fumbles it. They get a field goal. And by the way, they were very conservative at the end of the end of the half, which the Giants have been consistently. That hasn't been called out because the Giants have won, but I would like to see them be a little more aggressive in the first half. That's something that I've noticed. And then end of the game, like we're getting ready to get the ball back with 7 minutes left, down 7, have a chance. Probably don't win the game the way the offense looked, but at least have a chance. And Richie James fumbles it. They get a 16-yard pass to Noah Fant, and then Kenneth Walker breaks that 16-yard touchdown. And then the game's over at that point. So I'm usually not like the overreact, like this guy can't be out here anymore. But you can't put Richie James out there anymore. Like that's at least his third fumble. I think he may have muffed a punt. It's hard to find muff punt stats. I don't think they count as fumbles. But that's, he had a fumble versus the Bears. Luckily the Giants were able to recover from that. Sorry, I just hit my microphone. So, like, that's kind of stuff is unacceptable. And he's not used as a receiver. Now that Wandale's back, I think he has 3 catches in the last 4 weeks. He's been a zero. Like, after the first 3 weeks of the season, he's been a 0 as a wide receiver. So, you just can't, like, I hate to say it, but I would cut him. I don't have a big use for him unless you value him as the wide receiver if Wandale Robinson were to go down. And I guess the Giants aren't in a position to cut receivers, which is a huge issue for this passing offense. They don't have a guy. I'm not sitting out here calling for them to go and make a trade at the deadline, but it is something that's going to hamper the Giants' offense the rest of the season. So we'll have a podcast out in the morning. Film review, O-line report should be good stuff this week. I think we'll get some good answers on exactly what went wrong offensively on the film review, mailbag, and then bye week. We'll have a mid-season mock draft. I do it every single year. We're going to be picking like 27th this year. It's going to be a nice change for the Giants mid-season mock draft. I do it every year during the bye week, and usually we're picking like I remember 2020 we were picking second. I took Jamar Chase. Last year I think we were picking 5th and 6th. I took Evan Neal. I think I might have taken Carl Loftus. I like Carl Loftus more than most people. And at this point of year, I don't do my homework on a ton of guys, so it's not going to be as thought out. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the podcast in the morning. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go Big Blue.